I'm testing a new process today. The goal is speed without sacrificing precision. I've overhauled the entire process. I've upgraded machines, I've got new tools, and today we're putting it to the test. This isn't just another sharpening video. In this video, we're doing a full knife restoration speed run. Let's see how fast we can turn this everyday kitchen set into surgical steel. All right, let's grind. The big question, does working fast equal sloppy? I, for one, am probably one of the world's slowest sharpeners. I spend a lot of my time focusing on perfecting my craft. And I gotta say, over time, you start to become more efficient with things. A lot of people think that if you're moving fast, you're cutting corners. The reality is, or at least my reality, my goal is to spend less time on my setup. That way I can spend more time on the apex. If you look at my setup, I've got machines and tools for every stage of the sharpening process. And I've spent a lot of time developing how to be efficient at each one of those stages. When you look at my machines, I've got the belt grinders, and they can remove material very quickly. And then I've got machines like the Tormek. A very slow machine, but boy, that thing puts an absolute beautiful bevel on any knife I touch. So why don't we just marry the two? Why don't we put together a process where we can get the speed and efficiency of the belt grinders, but also the precision of the Tormek? And let's be frank, you're not doing a full-blown knife repair on only a Tormek. It's just not possible. You can't thin a blade on a Tormek. At least I'm not aware of it. So what I've developed here, I've developed a hybrid workflow. I've got my 2-inch belt grinder. I can reprofile blades extremely fast and safely. I can also knives with a bolster. You know, your Westhoffs, your Zwilling. I can reprofile and fix those bolsters up really nice. And then we've got the Tormek, which is my precision, my finishing machine. And then we've got everything in between, like the knife jig length projector, what you see right here, right now. This tool allows me to set up every knife as quickly as possible on a knife jig and get the angle perfect. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna move my camera in between each knife. I would have had to set it up at this angle, done the work, and then come back and forth 7 times. It's just not efficient for the filming workflow. So what I did, I went ahead and just set up every single knife ahead of time so it all makes sense from a filming perspective. So we've already reprofiled every single one of these knives on the 2x42. We made really quick work of that. We've got our blades all set up for the knife jig so we know where the center point is. And from here, it's just a matter of clamping onto each knife. Our support bar is already preset at 17.2 degrees. We're gonna go clip onto a knife and boom, we're gonna jump over here on the Tormek and we're gonna set our bevels. And I don't know if you noticed this, but prior to jumping over here on the Tormek and after reprofiling, I hit every single knife with about a 30-degree angle. I apexed every single one of them. And that's a little hack or cheat code I developed because it makes the grinding on the Tormek a lot quicker. And let's face it, these CBN wheels, they're not cheap and they don't last a lifetime. So if I can save a little bit of extra lifetime on this thing by grinding on a $5 belt over a $200 wheel, guess what? Yeah, buddy, I'm gonna do it. The biggest time thief in my shop is adjusting every jig, getting it attached and getting the length set up Every second I spend measuring is a second I'm not cutting steel. The knife jig length projector eliminates so much of that headache. It's a huge time saver. Very well, one of my most important time-saving tools in the shop. If you're using knife jigs in your sharpening process, I 100% put my signature, or I recommend get yourself a knife jig length projector. The time savings alone, it's worth it. If you've ever read through my comment section of my videos, a very common question I get, why do I put so much effort into the work I do? You know, I'm getting paid on average, what, $10 a knife. Why put so much work into that? For me, it's not about the knife, and it's not per se about that $10 per knife. For me right now, where I'm at, it's about the practice. When you can make a cheap, beat up old blade cut like a surgical instrument, I mean, you can't, how friggin' amazing is that? You know, the tool is just metal, but the skill, that's what matters. And that's gonna follow you your lifetime. I'm not working for today. I'm working for reputation. And let's look at the other side of that coin. There's something very, very special about sharpening. A lot of people think it's tedious, but for me, it's the most meditative part of my day. I'm juggling a job as a banker. I'm managing the Discord. I'm sharpening my community's knives, managing mail orders, and you know, people are ordering products. Like, it's a lot. But let me tell you, I look forward to the second I can get that knife on the jig and start grinding. And then there's knife work. It's unlimited. There's so many avenues. You know, I started out with sharpening, and I've been sharpening a long time. But there's thinning, there's geometry, and then there's knife making. Starting from a block of steel and turning it into what you're seeing on the screen now. Handles. There's just so many fascinating components of a knife. But yeah, once I get that steel on these CBN wheels, there's a specific sound, like a, how do you put it, like a vibration through the blade, and it tells you, you know, when that apex is set, you know when the bevel's set. How to get your knife to scary sharpness, you know, that razor zone. It's a constant conversation, and everybody wants to know the secret. For me, I don't think it's the stone or the belt. I think it's the final stages. I mean, let me backpedal a little bit. Obviously, everything leading up to is important, but if you want that very beautifully toothy edge that's razor sharp, it's the final steps. I've messed around with every compound and emulsion there is on the market. I've got a whole entire drawer of them. You got some that are super greasy. You've got others that just dry out. You've got others that take forever to get dry enough to use. And I got tired. I just got, in the price tags, oh my God. Don't get me started on the prices for diamond emulsions out there right now. I got tired of all of it. So I decided to invest my time and my own money in finding a better solution. And so far, I couldn't be happier with the results. What you're seeing here is my diamond emulsion doing work. It's not just a polish. It's an apex refiner. It knocks down that very last microscopic burr that leaves a toothy, aggressive edge that doesn't just cut, but it's got a nice bite to it. And we get that razor finish that we want. And look at the edge on that. Look at the reflection on that edge. That's, in my opinion, that's better than a factory finish. That's a precision tuned apex right there, my friends. You know, most people think an edge like what I'm putting on here right now is just for looks, but that's a huge mistake. What I'm doing right here with this diamond emulsion is refining the apex down to the micron level. A rough edge, which has teeth, and those teeth can tear. A refined edge like this cuts with zero resistance. If you're pushing the knife and it's dragging, you're missing a critical step to your sharpening. Very well may be the most important step. Oh yeah, we're moving on to the roost strop, the hanging kangaroo strop. I get asked all the time, why do I use this instead of a flat bench strop, right? It's simple. The tension. The tension is king here. A hanging strop has a natural spring to it, and that helps it kiss the apex perfectly without rounding it. Oh yeah. Man, let me tell you, there is nothing more satisfying than taking a pile of old, worn out, dull kitchen knives and turning them into professional grade cutlery in half the time. My goodness. Look at that. This is just so happy to be doing this. I love it. And if you're interested in all the details, right? The angles, the materials, the machines, the resources to be able to do something like this, check out the Sharpeners Discord. Let me tell you, it's been an absolute, it's a cheat code to sharpening. That's what it is. It's an absolute cheat code. And guys, don't settle for less than perfect when it comes to sharpening. Aim for perfect, okay? In speed, it'll find you. Speed will find you.